Bitcoin right now is retesting this rising wedge. However, everyone's wrong about this Bitcoin dip. There's a lot of people calling for a cycle top. However, we need to be discussing if this liquidity towards the downside is going to be getting grabbed, and are we going to be cascading down to lower levels, or are we going to be rising towards the upside, following the global liquidity and following all these different flashing signals that I have prepared for you guys. So I'm not only going to be covering Bitcoin, I'm going to be covering Ethereum as well. I have a lot of charts prepared. I have a lot of scenarios and different data points to be covering. And we're going to be looking at altcoin season. We're going to be looking at when are we going to be getting that massive altcoin season that everybody seems to be talking about. So with that being said, let's get straight away in towards this banger. Bow. So looking at that short term for Bitcoin is retesting this rising wedge after breaking down. And a lot of people might be worrying, thinking that we're going to be breaking towards the downside, but I think it's not as simple as that. I think that we need to be looking at different scenarios for Bitcoin, and we need to be considering everything. And the first thing we can look at is the liquidation heat map, and I've got this on a 1 week scale, and we've got a little bit of liquidity above us. However, there's some liquidity piling below, so let's have a look at that short term before we zoom out for Bitcoin, and we're going to be seeing if this fractal is going to be playing out. But as of now, we're still holding support, and we're trading just below the mid range there, so you can see that Bitcoin's holding support. We had that bounce after the Powell speech, and now we're starting to move towards the downside. Now, this is one signal that may be a little bit concerning, because in 2024 and 2023, we had a pump in towards the Powell's Jackson Hole speech, and then we started to move towards the downside after creating a lower low after sweeping the previous low. So this may be the case for Bitcoin right now, where we're actually starting to move towards the upside. However, this weekend we're starting to move towards the downside again, and we may actually sweep this low and move a bit lower before actually reclaiming it and potentially moving towards new highs. So this is one scenario I want to be highlighting, because we will be testing this level of support over here. So if I was to draw this as a zone, you can see that we could come a bit lower, test the support level before actually moving towards the upside, sweeping this low and actually creating bullish divergence, and potentially this is where Bitcoin is going to be moving towards the upside again. So if we look at the seasonality, you can see that in 2023 and 2024, this was the exact scenario. We had a move towards the downside, just like I've said, and then after the move towards the downside, we had a massive surge towards the upside, which is a scenario that I will be covering in a bit more detail in a second. But this is likely for the Bitcoin price. If we do see Bitcoin sweeping at low and moving in towards the support level, then I do think that it is likely that Bitcoin is going to be moving towards the upside again. And this is where you're going to be seeing massive moves, because your all-time highs are not too far for the Bitcoin price. So this is one scenario to be watching. But just a quick reminder, we're trading within a weekend. We have the CME gap still open, so it is likely that we can come and close this if we start to consolidate a bit more and we don't actually break down fully just now. So just keep that in mind. And the CME gap is around 116,300. So if we start to see Bitcoin rising, this is potentially why we're coming to close that CME gap. But just a summary, it is possible that we can come and break down and sweep this low, and then we're going to be grabbing this liquidity in and around that 111,700 level. So make sure to be watching out for that scenario. In the case that we actually break down, it is likely that this has happened before, so you shouldn't be getting too worried. And this is in the short term, so this may mean that the rising wedge may look a bit more ugly. However, in the longer time frame, I want to be talking about this fractal over here. So looking at Bitcoin and the global liquidity offsetted by 105 days, you can see that it's perfectly been playing out. You can see that Bitcoin has been following the global liquidity. It's been tracking the global liquidity ever since we had that double bottom, and even prior to that, it's been tracking the global liquidity. And at the minute, it's at this choppy stage where you have a lot of chop before you start to grind towards the upside again. And if we have a closer look at the global liquidity, a lot of people are calling for top since we've had this downtrend. However, we are breaking out right now, so this is looking extremely good, and we want to see follow through from the global liquidity in towards next week. We want to see higher highs and higher lows, so we need to see a bit more from the global liquidity. But as of now, it is breaking out, so this is looking amazing. And this is one prospect, this is one data point suggesting that the Bitcoin bull market is not over yet. It's suggesting that we are going to be seeing higher prices very soon. People may be thinking, you've just said that we can come down, and now you're saying that we're going to be seeing higher prices. In the short term, we may see a little dip coming in towards this pocket of support over here, and then this is where we can potentially see a liquidity grab before we start to move towards the upside again. So this is what I'm meaning. In the short term, you may see Bitcoin come a little bit lower and test this lower support level. However, if we start to hold that level and we start to move towards the upside again, this is where we're going to be seeing Bitcoin move and follow that global liquidity. So looking at up and coming news right now, we have GDP data for Q2 coming in on Thursday. So this is previous data that we had for the GDP numbers, and of course initial jobless claims as well. So these are two data points that are going to be giving us a clearer picture on the economy and what's going on. So we need to be keeping our eyes on this dropping on Thursday, so make sure to be keeping your eyes peeled for that. We have our forecast at 3.1% for the GDP number, and we have the unemployment claims coming in at 231k. So if this number goes up for the unemployment, this suggests that the economy is not doing the best and we need some rate cuts. So we need to be seeing this number go up. And for the GDP numbers, if it starts to come down, this indicates that the economy is slowing down and we may need rate cuts to stimulate the economy. So we need to be seeing this number come down. Another reason why we may be dumping, of course, again, is the probabilities. The market is a little bit confused. The probabilities came to a 75% chance now that we're going to be getting a rate cut. So if the numbers for next week actually come in and they actually indicate that the economy isn't doing as well, then we may see this actually start to increase, indicating that we may get a rate cut, which may see the market pump. Now, before we get into the next part of the video, make sure to be checking our first link down below if you want to be trading for yourself. So if you're enjoying the video and you're agreeing with my opinion and you want to be taking some positions, make sure to click that first link down below that will take you to this page over here. And then this is where you could be signing up and you could be reading about the free money that you can be getting from BitTunex. BitTunex are offering my community a 20% sign up bonus. So when you sign up and you deposit funds, you're going to be getting 20% futures bonus to be trading, which is free money to be taking positions. So in my opinion, this is a massive deal that I would not be fading. You can see if you deposit $2,000, you'll be getting $400 bonus right there for you for free. So make sure to be checking the terms and conditions here. Literally all you need to do is deposit your funds once you sign up using this link over here. So this is what the terms and conditions is essentially showing you guys. So make sure to be using that first link down below and be signing up for BitTunex. Now for Ethereum, you can see that Ethereum had a massive pump right now. We broke out from this trend line and we actually had a massive surge off of the news on Jackson Hole. However, we've left a lot of inefficiency, and of course it is likely that we can come a little bit lower now. We're forming some sort of consolidation in the short term, but again, I do not want to be getting trapped here. A lot of people may say it's a bull flag, but just be careful in case we start to break down and start to move towards the downside again, filling this inefficiency here. This could be a short-term move for Ethereum where you see the price actually start to come down a little bit before moving higher. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have liquidity piling up below us. So again, we do have a little bit above us, indicating that it is possible we can go up, but it's most likely that we actually move towards the downside in towards 4.5k for Ethereum. So make sure that you're not going to be getting trapped and you're not going to be getting too bearish. All it is just a little liquidity grab, filling an inefficiency, and it is likely from there we start to see higher prices for Ethereum. And you can see right now that Ethereum actually previously turned this massive resistance level that was capping price into support right now. So that's looking very good for Ethereum. You can see that we still have this bull flag in the medium time frame there. So the target is about $6,000 per Ethereum. So I will not be getting bearish in the short term. We still have this bull flag playing out, which is looking quite good. And we've actually made new all-time highs for Ethereum. So Ethereum's made new all-time highs, which is looking very nice. You can see that it's literally put in a new high literally a day ago or so, which is actually looking very good. And it is likely that if we start to consolidate here just a little bit, we're still going to be moving towards the upside. So whether we pump, whether we consolidate, I still think Ethereum's going to be moving very high by the end of the year. You can see that we had the V bottom in 2020 and we had a little time in this yellow region before we actually had that massive move towards the upside. So I want to be saying that it is likely, maybe if we don't pump in towards the end of August and into September, it may be a case where we consolidate until our FOMC meeting, and then that's where we're going to be getting that massive rise for Ethereum. So that may be the case where the Bitcoin dominance maybe starts to turn. This may lead to the altcoins actually catching up to Ethereum. So this is one scenario that I want to be pointing out. But looking at the next chart for Ethereum, you can see that we have the monthly MACD still ticking bullish, and it's actually crossed bullish on the MACD also, which is looking very good. And we still have this higher time frame monthly bull flag playing out with a bullish target at $17,000, which is extreme. However, I think it's just a trajectory to show us that the strength on Ethereum is going to start picking up heavily. So this is one good thing to be seeing. And we're seeing this in the numbers too, where we have our institutions actually loading up on Ethereum a lot. They're actually buying a lot of Ethereum. You can see Bitcoin, the #1 company right now, actually buying a lot of Ethereum, which is looking absolutely great. The chart is up and to the right from all the companies, so that's actually looking very good. You can see that Bitcoin dominance is moving towards the downside, and it's likely that near the end of the cycle, you can see by these green vertical lines over here that the timing cycles from the Bitcoin halving is plotted, and it shows that we have a few months till the end of the cycle. And right now Ethereum is looking likely to move to the top side and carry the altcoins with it. Then we're going to be topping out. So I don't think, due to the timing of the runs, that we're topped out so quickly, just for Bitcoin and Ethereum also. And of course that means that your altcoins are going to catch up once Ethereum starts to soar towards the upside a bit more, or even consolidate. Ethereum can consolidate, and it may be a case where altcoins can catch up. So those are the two scenarios I want to be pointing out for your altcoins and for Ethereum. But our interesting data point to be looking at is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin valuation. You can see that Ethereum versus Bitcoin is breaking out right now, indicating that this consolidation may not actually happen. You may see that Ethereum can start to move towards upside against Bitcoin, breaking out, moving towards this 0.1 valuation mark, which was where you topped out last cycle. But this is a 8-year consolidation pattern. So it may be a case where we move all the way to the top side and Ethereum continues to move to this massive bull flag target. So this is another thing I want to be talking about right now. This is a big breakout on the 8-year scale, and we're only starting to break out now. So this is looking very good for Ethereum. And of course, it will look good for your altcoins too. However, altcoins right now are bleeding towards Ethereum, since Ethereum is still in the limelight. You can see we're in phase 2 right now. So it is time for Ethereum to continue to move towards the upside. You know, the path to all season is in full effect, like I've said on my X page. And you can see that phase 1 is complete, where Bitcoin has already moved towards new all-time highs. And now it's time for Ethereum to take the spotlight. And of course, altcoins are quietly gearing up for Valhalla. So right now is a great time to be accumulating your altcoins before they go parabolic, and before the Bitcoin dominance reaches the bottom. That's where, you know, you're going to be seeing all the altcoins already pumping. So this is a great time to be loading up on your altcoins. And of course, you know the best place to do it, which is BitTuneX, first link in the description. So that'll be it from me. Make sure to smash up that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace guys. See ya. Bye bye.